to another edition of WFCF TV, the Florida Chamber Foundation's podcast. Today we have the pleasure of being with former Representative Carl Domino, who has returned to civilian life. He is an investor, a wealth creator. He does money management for the folks in this area and probably throughout the country. We want to learn a little bit more about that. Welcome, Representative Domino. If you don't mind, I recognize and respect the man and the office, so I'm going to keep it formal in that regard.
Well, once a rep, always a rep.
Absolutely. You are a member, sir. Give us a sense of what are you doing now that you're out of the process and here in Palm Beach County?
Well, I've always been a money manager, and fortuitously, when I was in the legislature, I actually ran a company that was very successful. We sold it, and we restarted. We've gotten bigger, but things that people don't know about me, I, at my advanced age, have 11-year-old twins, so that's taken up a lot of time. I'm playing some tennis and playing some golf, but I'm also very involved in venture capital, and that's really exciting because we're trying to find new ways to answer problems, but also make money. So it's you know, I miss the Tallahassee, I miss the battle up there, but I still find a lot of things to keep myself highly interested in. And the investing in venture capital is just a fascinating business to be in. It particularly in the markets as they've been, which have been pretty nice of the late, but you always wonder if it's going to fall out. It's been a good ride since I got out of the legislature.
Well, that's good. It's good to be with you. You know, the venture capital comes up quite a bit when we talk about the 6 pillars framework and trying to focus on the future of Florida's economy and the critical role of having capital in a capitalistic system. What's your assessment of the state of venture capital across Florida?
Well, it's a chicken and egg thing. It's getting to be a better situation. But you need, money just doesn't flow somewhere and then the innovation flows. It's the other way around. The innovation flows, the money will chase it. When we got Scripps a few years ago, we started out a process of important venture capital. Now, Florida's got a lot of wealthy people who invest in venture capital, but the money's going out of state. It's going to start going more and more in-state as we develop these things. But it doesn't happen. We started Scripps, they've got 400, they're starting to do a few scientists. But what will happen is, there'll be a couple of ideas that need $8, $10, $15 million. A lot of the money will be raised locally. The guys in Boston, New York will hear about that. They'll set up a little office in Florida, the intellectual property lawyers. So it'll build on itself. And if we can continue to push forward in high technology and innovation, eventually we will have an important investment banking community. And then that feeds upon itself, because once scientists see that they can go to work at Max Planck or Scripps or something else, and just go down the road and raise $5 million for their ideas, it'll build and build and build. It's not there yet. It will be there. It's going to take a while. But the one advantage we have in this process is we've got a very large number of very wealthy investors. I know many of them. I work with a firm in New York a little bit to raise money, and they love this market. So what we've got to get is these, and these investors don't care where the business is. Once we get successful projects going in the state of Florida, you'll find that the monies will flow, and the really smart investment managers, M&A people, intellectual property attorneys, patent attorneys, they'll start flowing down. It's not going to be my generation, it's probably going to be the next one. But I think it's a train that has left the station, and it's going to be there.
That's great. Well, it sounds you're quite bullish on venture capital, and I'd be remiss if I didn't throw this question. The folks that are watching the podcast are also watching the newspapers, where Scripps comes up quite a bit lately, where it's criticized as not delivering the numbers that everybody expected it would. What would you say to those folks that might be seen as a little impatient or wanting the answer to be now? Any thoughts on how to respond to the Scripps issue?
Well, first of all, I would have 2 answers. One is I think Scripps has been inordinately successful. When you think about it, they've created 400 jobs. Many of these are very world-class research scientists. And right next to Scripps, they've already broken ground. I spoke at a groundbreaking for Max Planck, which is even a larger international opportunity. The problem in politics is to sell something, you got to give people a sense that it's going to happen right away. If you've been a venture capitalist, believe me, there are investments that I've made 10 times my money. But I'll tell you what, sometimes it took 10, 15, 20 years, especially when you're talking about life sciences. Because remember, the role of Scripps is just to get the molecule to the point where some company will take it and then develop it. To develop a drug now is a 10 to 15 year process. So to those that thought immediately there'd be thousands of jobs, they weren't listening. Those jobs are going to come. The momentum of Scripps has been very strong, maybe even better than I would have thought. To get Max Planck right alongside, I think we could have done some things better. We could have all had them in the same geography. I think that was a real setback because scientists like to go to Starbucks and talk to 23 other scientists. There's a real importance of commonality. That's what you have in the Valley. But Scripps to me has been inordinately successful. It is creating the kinds of jobs we want in Florida. When you take a pediatric cancer research guy from St. Jude's in Memphis and have him move down here and continue doing that kind of work, that's a great success. If you're expecting drugs to be invented in 6 weeks, it's not going to happen. But Scripps is world class. I go to St. Jude's every few years ago, and they brag about a molecule assay machine that's not even close to being as powerful as what Scripps has now. So I think I think Jeb Bush will be remembered both for his education, but for Scripps. Scripps is going to be, I grew up in Orlando, where I went to high school in Orlando. Scripps is going to be to Florida and Palm Beach County what Disney was to Orlando. I have absolute confidence in that.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate spending some time with former Representative Carl Domino, now in the venture capital world, and demonstrating today, as he did when he was in the legislature, that long-term vision and this eye to Florida's horizon rather than the short term. I want to thank you for spending time with us here at WFCF, and join us next time when we talk a little bit more about the 6 pillars process, the 6 pillars framework, and the future of Florida's economy.